As a man who loves to watch documentaries in his spare time, I was absolutely ecstatic to see Xbox is doing their own documentary titled Power On, the Story of Xbox. Now, as a man my age, I've been around the Xbox its whole lifetime. I got the original Xbox in 2003, and ever since then, I've been a diehard Xbox fan. Yes, I love Xbox through its ups and its downs. So some of the things that they said, some of the behind the scenes stuff that happened with the Xbox brand was absolutely amazing. But the one that really stood out to me was episode 6, when they were talking about the Xbox One generation. Now, if you follow my channel, if you listen to some of my videos, if you listen to my podcast, you guys know I talk about the Xbox One generation a lot because I was there. I witnessed everything that Xbox did wrong, and I witnessed a lot of the hate that Xbox got afterwards. So I want to talk about 5 things that really stood out to me that was said in this documentary by PhilSpencer, some other executives, even some media guys, some things that they said about the Xbox brand.
Think not only about gaming, but television, movies, stories that lived inside our gaming community was something that I believed in.
Okay, this is...
Wow. Don Matrick wanted the Xbox One to be an entertainment box, not a gaming console. He wanted it to be an entertainment box that happens to play video games. And us hardcore gamers, we didn't want to hear that shit. We wanted the Xbox One to be about games. All of the other stuff, the Netflix, the TV, the movies, the cable box, all of that stuff would have been a nice bonus. Because to be honest, when I got my Xbox One, those things were actually pretty cool. But at the end of the day, they advertised this thing as an entertainment box and not a gaming console. And that was the first thing that started the potential downfall of Xbox last generation.
The issue was that with Xbox One, Don's view was the new Kinect was going to be required as part of the box. So it was no longer just a peripheral like the original Kinect. Now you were going to be forced to buy one.
This is a terrible mistake, a huge mistake.
It definitely caused a disconnect. Why are you charging me more money? I don't want this.
Kinect had so much promise. It just wasn't ever going to be a thing that hardcore gamers wanted.
Especially when it upped the price by $100.
In my opinion, the Kinect was a gift and a curse. The reason I say it was a gift because the Kinect was an incredible piece of technology. When the Kinect first came out in 2010 on the Xbox 360, I bought one for $150. It was absolutely incredible. My family loved it. We played Dance Central, Kinect Sports. It was a great piece of technology. The voice controls, I love the Kinect. But the reason I say the Kinect was a curse is because it sold so well. It did so well for Xbox that they decided to include it with their brand new console, the Xbox One. And we know that was not a good decision. The Kinect as a optional peripheral was great. I mean, if you didn't want it, you didn't have to buy it. But they forced people to buy it, meaning they made the console $100 more than its biggest competitor, the PlayStation 4. So yeah, the Kinect was great, but by them forcing people to buy it, making their console more money than their biggest competitor, that's why it was a curse.
One of the biggest missteps that we learned from in the past was Lionhead.
We had already published Fable 1, and it was a hit. People loved it. The beauty of that game, it was basically like a moving stained glass window. People wanted more, and so we bought Lionhead. Those were good years. The game was great. Just everything came together. But after Fable 2, Kinect came along, and the Fable Kinect marriage just never really took. And then Fable Journey was a passion project for a lot of people, but I think it deviated pretty significantly from the pillars of what made Fable 1 and 2 so popular.
There's some very, very sad news coming out of Microsoft today. So they're shutting down Fable developer Lionhead Studios.
We acquired Lionhead in 2006, shut it down in 2016. A couple years later, we reflected back on that experience. What did we learn? How do we not repeat our same mistakes?
You acquire a studio for what they're great at now, and your job is to help them accelerate how they do what they do, not them accelerate what you do.
I wish Lionhead were still a viable studio.
Now, Lionhead was a studio that made the Fable games, and as you guys heard what Shannon Loftus said, after Fable 2, they forced those guys to do Kinect games. So that goes back to my last point, how the Kinect was a gift and a curse. They took Lionhead off of Fable to make Fable Kinect games, and that Fable Kinect game, Journey, that was dog shit. I remember playing the demo, was like, what the hell is this? So those Fable Kinect games never took off, and because of that, Lionhead, they got let go, and Xbox themselves say they regret letting those guys go, and they mishandled that team. Yes, so at the end of the day, I think today's Xbox learned from Lionhead. Today's Xbox are letting those studios do what types of games they want to do. Back then, they forced a studio like Lionhead to do a Kinect game, and they wasn't comfortable with that. That's not what they wanted to do. So there's a learning lesson for Xbox, and this documentary really is showing us some of the things that went on behind the scenes, and I love it.
We had a line of people at the launch event. People were excited about it. We had kind of an early signal that maybe things are okay.
The NPD Group has revealed that Xbox One led console sales in December, and with its $500 price point, the Xbox One led annual hardware sales on a dollars basis.
But by April, we were outsold 6 or 7 to 1 in the market, maybe 8 to 1.
This was really bad, like catastrophic bad.
See, what people didn't realize is that the Xbox One sold well the first couple of months on the market. Yes, the PlayStation 4 sold well also, but as you saw what PhilSpencer said, they thought things were okay. They actually won NPDs in December of 2013. But something just wasn't right. Sometimes people buy what they're used to. A lot of Xbox 360 people just bought an Xbox One because that's what they had last generation. But something changed a few months down the line. People say, yo, this Xbox One isn't as good as a PS4. It's not as powerful. My friends have a PS4. I'm going to take this Xbox One back to the store and get a PS4. And you see throughout the rest of the generation, the PlayStation just absolutely dominated Xbox One in sales. And that's what happens. I mean, even with the PS5, I believe there are some people just bought a PS5 because they already had a PS4, and that's the next step. So Xbox, what they have to do is try to get some of those people back to the Xbox side, or just to come to the Xbox side. And so that's what happened. The Xbox One actually sold well at first, and a lot of people don't realize that. So.
Microsoft has announced that Microsoft Studios corporate vice president
PhilSpencer is the new head of Xbox.
Let's talk about your new role. What are you going to be doing?
The emergency glass was shattered, and Phil was pulled out and put in to right the Xbox ship that was sinking.
He was there early days, studied under Ed Freeze, so he knew exactly what made the original Xbox work. He was a gamer, but he was also a longtime Microsoft guy, so he's sort of the perfect hybrid.
He is a proxy for gamers. They believe in Phil.
I play lots of games with Phil on weekends and evenings, and he's always thinking about the player first.
Having someone lead the platform who comes from that place.
It was a big turning point for us. We needed somebody that could lead us, that we trusted. We cared about the team.
The last thing I wanted to talk about that stood out for me is that, in my opinion, Phil Spencer saved Xbox. When Don Mattrick damn near killed the Xbox brand, Phil Spencer stepped in after his promotion, and the first thing he did was take the Kinect out of the box. Took the damn Kinect out of the box, put the price down to $400 to compete with the PlayStation 4. He killed that Xbox movie studio shit that they were trying to do, and it took a while, but Phil Spencer finally got Microsoft as a company to 100% back Xbox. They invested in studios, and we see what's going on nowadays. So in my opinion, Phil Spencer is the one that saved Xbox, because the way Xbox was going with Don Mattrick, and we heard the rumors about Xbox actually was about to be let go. Microsoft was about to get rid of the Xbox brand. So I know people give Phil a lot of shit sometimes, not lately, because you can't deny what he has done lately, but for years, Phil Spencer got a lot of shit from some Xbox fans, some PlayStation fans, said Phil Spencer gotta go. Phil Spencer, there's no games on Xbox. And all of that shit means nothing now, because we see what Phil Spencer has done for the Xbox brand, and moving forward, Xbox is going to be an absolute monster in this gaming industry. So I love the documentary. I thought it was great. I watched it about 5 times already, and I'm going to watch it some more, because as a diehard Xbox fan like myself, it's just good to see, hear some things that happen behind the scenes.